All right. Well, if you're accessing this video, it's about the GYO expenditure report. So you probably already seen our previous video on the updates or corrections that you can make to it's the mid-year adjustments to your GYO budget report. If you're looking for the GYO budget report, this isn't that video. This is the video for the GYO expenditure report. So welcome back if you're looking at these two videos, but this is the second of our video series for July in assisting you with a timely and successful submission on Nexus. So before we go on, just in case you didn't see us in a previous video or didn't meet us there, I'm Phil Chase. I work on this grant, the 27B grant, as well as 27K grant. Wendy, you want to give a quick hello?
Hi, I'm Wendy, and I will help you with any of your questions on updating these forms.
All right. All right. So it's a small but mighty team here. We put together some technical assistance. So let's go ahead and get to it. So for the Grow Your Own Expenditure Report, we have a few this is kind of an overview here. And just as a start, and just to make sure we remind everybody, completing the expenditure report and really completing all reports in Nexus is part of your grantee's responsibilities under the grant award notification. It's a really important part of the grant administration. The GYO expenditure report this time around in July 2024 is going to provide MDE with an idea of what the grantee actually spent against their budget. Remember, budget's kind of a spending plan, but this time the report's about what you actually did spend for allowable costs across all of your current grantees. So we want you to think about the current reporting grant period for the expenditure report of January 1, 2024 to June 30, 2024. Previously, we asked you for the grant period that ended on December 31, 2023. Well, now it's a new grant period for their expenditure report, and it goes to June 30, 2024. We are getting some questions about, well, what happens if I make expenditures after June 30? That's for the next report. So you still have some time at the taping of this video to make a few more expenditures. But again, you kind of want to close it out in your minds at June 30, and then you're going to be preparing to report all those using this video and using some instructions that we'll show you in a moment to be successful doing that. So we're going to ask you to report only new expenditures, and we don't want you to repeat any ones that are reported in a prior submission. But we do have a special note about that. Wendy, you're going to show this to you're going to talk about this in your screens too, but special note about that. Go ahead.
If for some reason, when you're looking back at this and you're looking at your expenditures and you realize that maybe you missed an expenditure that was done prior to December 30th, you can either go in and make a change to that December or add it into December so that it's in the appropriate spot. And I will show you that when I get to my portion of the explanation.
Yeah, and we know, because we're saying that today, because in this video today, because we know there's going to be some questions about like an oopsie, or it's like, what do I do about a special situation, or it might have gotten corrected too. We do want you to make sure that your previous ledger is correct, though. We'll talk about that in a minute, but just know that there's a way to handle that too. We just know there's going to be questions. So like the previous GYO expenditure report we asked you to submit, this one also is you must include an uploaded report that's generated from your own district's financial system. I believe we're taking PDFs or Excel spreadsheets. I'm not quite sure. Wendy will confirm that. But that is important. We need to know that your own report on your side agrees with what data you're putting into our Nexus system. And just as a note, if you didn't see this in the first video or in the GYO budget report video, very important. Your amendments to the GYO budget report must be reviewed, complete, and accepted by MD before you start the GYO expenditure report. In fact, the GYO expenditure report won't even appear in your My Opportunities list on Nexus until your budget report has been accepted. And some of you watching this video who didn't see the GYO budget report or missed our email about that may be saying, well, we don't have the amendments to make on our budget report. We just wanted to get right to the GYO expenditure report. There's still something you have to do back on the budget report, and that is just to accept the report or accept the amendment. You have to accept it, on your end so that we can move you forward to the GYO expenditure report step. Very important. The deadline for the GYO expenditure report is Wednesday, July 24, 2024. Remember, if you're not seeing it come up in your My Opportunities and Nexus, let us know, but it's probably because you may not yet have accepted the budget report, and that needed to be done by July 10. So we kind of did a couple of like a two-stroke, approach again. But we want to make sure you get that first step done before submitting your expenditure report, which must be done by Wednesday, July 24th. We have some notes for new grantees. It's very similar to the ones that we provided in the GYO budget report video, because we know we have some grantees who have recently put in, at the time of taping this video, they've recently submitted applications for a round 3, or what we call the dedicated round. So we want to include a slide because we think that we also know that they might be looking at this video going, well, how does my recent application figure into my duties, my responsibilities to get these reports in on time on Nexus? And the good news is they kind of don't. And so this is why I would say that. We have some grantees who are going to be brand new. That is, they did not get monies in round 1 or 2. They were not required to submit any reports in 2023 because they've only just made an application and they're not going to even be awarded until the end of July. If they're watching this video, just know that your group will not be required to make a GYO expenditure report until the end of December this year. And we're going to give you more information in your orientation materials that's going to help you understand that. So you might have gotten a hold of this video, but we may be reusing this video. So if that's you, please know that you do have a GYO expenditure report to make. It's just not right now. It's not until the end of this year. So you can kind of like breathe easy a bit. We also know that we have some people watching the video today who may actually have been granted awards in rounds 1 or 2 and have recently put in that round 3 that round 3 application. And they're going to be wondering, should I be looking ahead to my future candidates or the money I asked for in round 3? And the answer is no. You should not be thinking about round 3 as you go through and complete your GYO expenditure report for this cycle. We're really still only talking about candidates that had been awarded in rounds 1 or 2. And again, we're talking about your, if you will, active candidates, right? So again, like, we want you to complete the report by the 24th, but don't kind of in your mind, don't figure in the money that you're hoping to be rewarded in round 3. That's again going to be handled at the end of the year. So just a couple of new notes for grantees because we're going to be reusing this video. Why not? We worked hard to make it, so why not reuse it? But we wanted to make sure that there's no confusion with that at all. So what's new from the last time we asked you to do a grant report, expenditure report back at the end of December 2023? What's new, or I'm sorry, in February of 2024, what's new? So, well, first of all, your total award is going to include the indirect cost rate based on the current fiscal year. But remember, that fiscal year was like at the time of being granted the monies, which means your actual indirect cost rate may be different than the initial indirect cost rate because it's going to reflect the current rate. So as a result, Wendy's going to show you on the screens. She shows you how to adjust for that and how to make sure you've got the right indirect cost rate. But remember, no matter what happens, the actual indirect costs that you claim as a district can never cause your expenditures and indirect amount to be greater than your award amount. You still can't go over your award amount, even if they adjust it by many points increase, for example. Even still, you can't go over your award amount because that would be a no-no. So just as another point here, this is a little new. What's new here is also that this particular expenditure report is super important to us. Well, they all are, but this one especially because it's going to help our team begin the process of reviewing underspending, and we may be making some decisions about how to reallocate funds. We know that, for example, after 2 rounds of funding, you might have had candidates been added to your roster, but they might have also dropped off. So we need to monitor those changes and make our own decisions accordingly. So it's super important that you are timely and successful with this report. And in case I'm remiss in remembering in reminding you all, if you haven't already been to the GYO grant, if you haven't been to the Grow Your Own School Staff website lately, you should probably go there and check it out. We've updated it with new resources, new information, including new frequently asked questions. So we're kind of proud of it. And among other things, there's downloadable instructions for everything that's Nexus related, including the GYO expenditure report. So we're in the email you received, we're not going to actually attach this report. We're going to ask you to go to the site and download it. But it's right here. However, don't worry, because in a few minutes, Wendy's going to take you through some of the actual screens that you'll see in the PDF. So we're hoping that we have enough help for you to be successful. And then once again, another reminder, you have to, before you even start the GYO expenditure report, you have to have your GYO budget report amendments or the confirmation that it's correct in already to us before even starting on this report. So once again, you can download this from our website. It's great. I think it helps you a ton. So just so you know, before I forget to also say it, we did a few months ago, we actually started a new grants inbox. We still get a few questions on the old MDE PME box. So I put this information in today's video to make sure I'm reinforcing that there is a new grants inbox. Please direct all grants communication there. It's MDE-edworkforcegrants@michigan.gov. I also put a QR code here on the video because I know it's hard for somebody watching a video to copy paste. You can't really copy paste anything. You just would look at the link. So this link here, this QR code, goes directly to that GYO School Staff Grant website. I highly recommend you put that in your favorites or make it a bookmark because you can go back to it for reference. So just wanted to throw that in the video today. Without further ado, I'm going to actually pass the video feed here and the microphone, the virtual microphone over to Wendy. She's going to actually log into Nexus and show you a few of those screens on the GYO expenditure report that we're talking about. We're doing this right now because we recognize that there might be some staff that had been trained on the GYO expenditure report system on Nexus previously, but they may not be there at your district anymore. You might have some maybe new staff you want to train to do this correctly. So we're going to take you through some of these screens. Right now, I'm going to stop share. And Wendy, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Okay, so this is the screen that somebody would have from your district went in to prior to December for their December reporting. The first thing you have to remember to do is go down on your screen and look under status options. It will probably, right now, I'm just going to click on modify report, but it will probably say amend report. That's the part we're not 100% sure on, but either way, it will be something you have to click here so that it will save your information. So you click on that, you can put information. That's really just for your information if you wanted it, but you can also just leave it blank. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so you should have had all this information in here. And there's only one spot you need to go into, and that's this section 20C7B GYO expenditure report. So I'm going to click on that. And now this would have been where you went in, and this is a district sample report. So this district went in December and put in what they spent. And then they put in what they charged for indirect, and it came down here and it entered it in for you. And so now what we're asking you to do is go into the June 2024. So remember, importantly, if you had $6,000 that you spent under your 221, you are only putting in the $1,000 here. That should be matching your reports that you're going to upload from January through June. So you're putting in this, you're not putting in the cumulative. And so you go down, maybe you have another, I'm just going to put in another 500 here. So now when I go down here, it shows that my total that I have for my report that I'm going to be uploading should show $1,500. Down here, it changed it from, it added these two together, so the expenditure is cumulative. Now, for your indirect, this is where we're talking. You're using the indirect that applies for the current year. So remember, as you make expenses, that's the indirect year that you use. So if I spent $200 more on indirect, I'm going to put it in there and it changes it to that and it shows me what my remaining is. Now, what Phil was talking about last time, before you finish with any of your expenditure report updates, if for some reason you needed to change this 5,000 or this or add one, you can do it under December 2023. I would think that it would be rare that you would have those changes required, but we do allow for it in the off chance that something happened. So you could make a modification here if you needed to. And it just goes in. But if you do that, when you go to expenditure report, let's say I'm satisfied with this right now. So I actually put in my changes here and I had a modification. That's the most you'd ever have. Most of the time, you're just going to go in June, put in your information and upload your expenditure report. When I go to expenditure report, I want to save. And now I go in here and I'm going to, it's going to ask me to browse and upload a file here. So I would just browse to my computer and upload a report. What's important here is that if you would have to upload two at this time because we made a change to December and it should match the full amount now. But if you didn't have that, you're just going to upload your report here for June. What's important here is that it matches what your expenditure total was that you just completed. And it also needs to be from your system. Do not make an Excel file that you created. Do not make a Word document. You need it to come from your system. Now, it can be a PDF. That's probably what you're going to have because you will have downloaded it and then scanned it somehow. But it needs to be from your system that shows and reflects that. So once you do that, you browse and you upload, you are done. That's all you need to do. So again, you go in here, you make your expenditure report changes, you review it to make sure that the amounts are what you want. So in this case, we would be uploading the amounts that we had entered. You go into the report and then you go in here and you say modify submitted. Okay, so again, you will upload from yours, you're going to browse, you will have your reports there, you're going to upload them. And then if you do not upload, it will give you an error. You are required to upload a report. So then you're done. That will save it. And then you go down to modifications submitted and you will click on that submit button and you will be complete. And so at that point, that's all you need to do. And if you have any other further questions, just let us know through the information that Phil had already posted.
Great, Wendy. Thank you for that walkthrough. That's excellent. I think that that's all the information we have right now. If you like us, please give us a like on social media. You see our tags there. And then finally, don't forget to give us some feedback. Here's the QR code for our feedback form. We actually do review that form and we really do make improvements from the suggestions you provide. So we really do appreciate that. Anyway, that's all for the video. As one final reminder, for any questions you have about the GYO expenditure report, remember that new grants website, or I'm sorry, the new grants inbox, and that is MDE-Ed Workforce Grants at Michigan.gov. So thanks everybody for your time, and we'll hope to hear from you soon.